All right, folks, it's 3 o'clock. Thank you so much for joining us today. There is chat at the bottom of the screen. Please use that. Talk to everyone, talk to us. We're going to be operating from that channel as well. So if we see any questions come along there, me and Michael both will be monitoring that. We'll attempt to answer your questions on air, and don't hold back. If there's something on point to what we're discussing, we'll want to cover that right away. And if there's something that is going to be covered later, well, maybe we'll just go off into the weeds on your question anyway. That's all right. We have a couple of things that we really want to make sure we mention, but this is for you. And so if you are here and watching live versus a recording of this, it's to your advantage. Now, this is Q4 already, and I can't believe it. The Q4 hit, and I was like, no. That's like when we say most of the features are coming out for this year. That means we got a lot coming out this year, still ahead. But this is me and Michael, right? We haven't had Michael on here enough lately, and this is because Michael's busy training. So, guys, Michael Catullo is with us today as our lead trainer here at Autoflow. Very happy to have him take a break from his normal day-to-day stuff and just do one of these. Most of you know him anyways. Thanks for being here, Michael.
Thanks for having me, Craig. It's great to be back and doing this with you. I love when we get a chance to sit down and talk about the tool and what we've actually been adding to it, because a lot of things get lost in the emails, they get lost in the Facebook posts, and I go in and train a shop that's been on with us for a while, and they go, "Oh, when did you guys add that?" And I was like, "Oh, 7 months ago." And so being able to come in and do these conversations, I think, helps get a little more awareness of some of these features out that really can help our techs and our advisors simplify their day. So
absolutely. It is the hardest thing is like, we know email is not the best way. We aren't going to go individually text every one of you. We have our wall message. We've been using a lot better at the top of our page. Hopefully it's not irritating for you when we pop a couple pertinent messages up there, but getting the message out regarding some of the changes that we make is always one of the hardest things. And it's not because we don't try, and it's not because you don't want to hear it. We know how busy it is in those shops, and that stopping in the middle of a day to learn anything new about software is tough. And we asked this question in particular. Oh, thank you, Doug. I'm glad the wall messages are helpful. I feel bad putting a wall message out some days because I don't want to distract people from what they're doing. So please let us know. And if anyone feels like we're using it too often, give me that feedback too. It's a special tool that we try to use only when necessary. We asked this question in our poll, and I think that there might actually be some confusion on this too, because I feel like fewer people know that the service reminders piece that you might be aware of is now capable of being fully automated. You'll recall that that feature did not have full automation when we released it at first. It's a manual click. We'll show you again what this looks like, but we do have the ability now to fully automate that, which means, hey, you just hit a button one time and you don't have to have an advisor monitoring for service reminders. It'll go. So we're going to show you that here in just a moment. Just be aware, if you're not on the tier that accommodates that, you're going to want to request automation through our sales team. And best place to ask us to turn on is just sales@autoflow.com. And our sales team will make sure that that is in your subscription, because we know this generates a lot more texts. And folks, yes, our costs do go up consistently. Chris was just giving us a team meeting the other day, and the amount that carriers are increasing text rates is pretty substantial, but we are very careful not to pass these on to you, our clients. But when we do introduce new features that increase the volume of texting, that's why there will generally be, either if you're not on the full tier already, there'll be sometimes a small change to your subscription that goes along with that. So please let us know if you're interested in checking that out. And our sales team at sales@autoflow.com is the space to go. And I know some of you are going to be interested in this for sure. And I think that the very small change that you might potentially see in your subscription will be well worth the amount of time that it would have taken to have somebody managing it manually. So definitely check that out. Now, I want to go full in tool immediately in this webinar. This one is a unique webinar. We don't have any guest speakers today or any other items. We're going to want to make sure that we get in tool, and that's where we're going to go. And I love your question, Gerald, right out of the gate. Yes, if you're on marketing, you will be able to receive the automation already. The marketing package accommodates that. So if that's not enabled and you want it enabled, let us know, and we'll make sure that your settings are going to be all set. I think we'll definitely want to touch base after
I,
this.
I have a feeling that was Gerald letting us know that he wants that enabled.
I think so too, but hey, we'll have that conversation fully with my undivided attention. Absolutely. And actually, let's do it this way. I'm going to start with showing you what I mean by the service reminder piece. This is an important element. Some people weren't even aware that this was an option, and it does require an integration with level 5 integration status. That means we get shop management system history at that level. So Michael, TechMetric, Protractor, Tire Shop, Omnique.
And that's it.
I think those are the 4 integration partners that this would be extremely valuable for. So if you're on any of those shop management systems, it'd be great. And if you're on Shopware and you're watching this, ask them to get that piece integrated so we have history, and we will make this happen for you. Now, right now, you have to manually click the reminders to do this, but this is a form of AI, folks. And I want to be very clear on this. AI is a term that's being thrown around rather loosely in the industry at this time.
Popular.
Very popular term, catchphrase, you name it. There are a lot of different forms of AI, and you need to ask what type of AI it is. In this particular case, this is just basic machine learning. What we're doing is our system is married up with your shop management system. It can see the name of the jobs, and our system's been trained based off of keywords and phrases, and continues to train off of those keywords and phrases to identify certain types of jobs. So if I play around in our test environment here, this one picked up this semi-synthetic lube oil filter, and you see it says synthetic in this case here. So we've got this, and we can schedule this right there. And semi-syn or synthetic, either one for me, that can be set up a very specific way. So you'll see that we detect any type of oil change, and I typically set up semi and full syn the same. You can set the mileage and the time that these reminders are supposed to go out. And so if you're automating this, for example, you want to make sure you really have this set up nicely. You want to do this oil change every 3 months. Great. Well, we also want to make sure we set the reminder date that we start trying to get that appointment scheduled by. So the reminder does not need to be pegged to when it's due, but you can set this up a variety of ways so that you can start getting the reminders in place well ahead of the time that the customer is going to need to schedule this. And that also includes the ability to use predictive instead of just the standard time frame, where the system will calculate the mileage that someone is typically at, or how long it takes them to go a certain amount of miles. Simple math for the system. And we can set those predictive reminders. So you'll be able to set that up in the automation, and should go really smooth. Now, that's the service reminder piece. You'll see in our most recent notes that the coolest enhancement is now the client microsite.
Yes, the customization of the client microsite. This has been one people have been wanting for a long time.
Yeah, and specific branding. People are wanting to make their brand represented on here. So that's a 4th option in DVI setup, right? We needed 4th option here. And I know we have 4 menus of DVI setup. Right now, we're very focused on the client experience. That is your client experience. Yes, we will be considering you, our client experience as well in terms of DVI editing. But right now, we are focused on what you can do to make sure this is connecting with your clients. And Michael, you call this the microsite a lot in your trainings, or are you just saying the client view of the DVI? What are you using?
It goes client microsite is the most common term I use.
Good for you. The technical term. Excellent. Now, the more people trained with that, the better. You'll see a lot of paintbrushes here, folks. And one of the first things you're going to notice, it's very heavily geared towards customizing your brand feel. So if you've got a color theme in your shop that you really wanted to reflect here, I think it makes a lot of sense for you to play with these colors. If you've gone so sophisticated where your colors have always a precise number that correlates to that color, you can use those too. Any of these paintbrushes, you click that, you'll be able to start seeing, you can go find the number, use the number codes for that color, and you'll be able to set those up if you have those ready to go. Now, the colors are just one thing. For me, there's an entire design conversation that took place here thinking about your client, and that's why this project happened more. So this wasn't about adding paintbrushes nearly as much as it's just simply about redesigning the user interface for the client so that they have a more intuitive experience with the DVI results that you definitely send them all the time.
100%.
100%. But check this out. In order to help that intuitiveness, we've given you the ability to customize some of these headers on this board. And this isn't a really effective one because this is going to be top, front, center for your clients on this. And I like to just maybe say, here's your inspection. Please click on categories and check out the images. I'm just going to put that in for this case. Now I have a little bit more instruction on top of here. You can obviously use your own phraseology here as much as you want. You also have the choice of showing vehicle pictures here. The color sections, I feel like this is also important. I'm actually going to reset all colors and settings in my view, just so I can keep things standard in my demo site here. I like this, background, blue, text, white. There we go. And I want this background actually is the one I meant to do. Paint brushes all over. Schedule appointment is in here, of course. By the way, thanks those that reported early on that there was an issue with the link there. That should be corrected, I believe. So you should be all set in that. But yeah, this is all set the way I want to do it. I want to highlight this area though, because I do like when we get a little bit of a separation on the reasons. And if you're super cool, you're going to set this up to kind of reflect a little bit more of like a tire tread color. I like doing it this way. And if you aren't using tire inspection, you can have this hidden. If it's hidden now in your DVI setup, that'll also be hidden. So this one's good. This is all just how I want it for this purpose. There is actually one more area, the guide. We've had some questions on this. How do we let clients know to do this? This is there so that you can spell out a lot more details beyond these headers. You may have to guide your client to the guide at this phase. There will probably be some tweaks that we'll want to do based off of feedback so that clients find their way here, but good items, they mean something and you can spell it out here. These are checked and confirmed, safe, reliable, and efficient. Spell it out there and we let you. And then I do like to encourage you to default to your reasons for the visit, and I'll show you why in my demonstration. Any questions on this customization page? Does this make sense to everyone? It's pretty intuitive. The only other caveat I'll say is make sure if you're doing this on one, make sure you carry that same theme with you across the others. You'll notice all the key ones carry with it, but I wouldn't go crazy on changing some of these categories across each one, but the quality control, the work order, and the DVI setup are actually all and have always been linked together with this. Yes, there is a mobile version of this too, Mario, and that is actually it scales to whatever device you're on. So this is a large screen that I'm on right now for the customization. I would not play on the customization screen. If you are on a mobile phone, customization should be done on the admin login on the desktop. And if the schedule appointment isn't showing, that is, by the way, this button, great question. That's actually only on the Rainy folder sends. So the Rainy folder is, of course, our follow-up piece. So that schedule appointment button is there only for Rainy folder. It doesn't indicate that here, but that schedule appointment doesn't show in your normal current visit DVIs, because obviously there's a current visit and we're going to be trying to schedule future appointments differently on that. But when we send from our rainy day folder, which is, of course, we've done a webinar on this too. And if you haven't seen that webinar, we can definitely link that for you. But the rainy folder is where we do our DVI based follow-ups. And when you do a resend from here, yes, the new client microsite is used. That schedule appointment button will be there in that menu. And I was having a conversation. So I see Alyssa, you're with us today too. And you were great in pointing this out. And I think it's great feedback. In that rainy folder, we tucked away that view of the DVI into that side menu. And I want to point something out. I'd like to get that schedule appointment back front and center, but I'm going to show you why we made that side menu the way we did. So let's just go add a couple of things to Joe Palooka's DVI here. I'm just going to add a few jobs and we'll do our drop down notes and our recommendations. I'm going to add one image here. For folks who haven't seen our DVI in a while, the behavior inside of the DVI is no different in terms of your technician's functions. Although we changed how the client view might look on several things, your behavior inside of this is going to be consistent. We try to be very careful not to change behaviors when we don't need to. Michael, I'm going to add a couple of pictures here. Is there anything inside of the DVI that you wanted to mention?
The biggest thing that I found that we released recently that, as I've been training shops, no one has seemed to been aware of is we have a feature called Slim WO now, Slim Work Order. And this is going to help shops that are on our work order package that are using the work order. But up until this point, a technician would have to open up the work order to say start an oil change that they would be doing in conjunction with doing their or doing their DVI. So now at the top of the page, and Craig, I don't know
I'll show it to you. Yeah.
if you're on one, at the top of the page, there is now a slim work order button in the in that drop down where you would
No
switch
jobs on this
between
one.
work order. Instead of changing pages, it opens up just a modal where your technician can now start the job from there without actually having to navigate away from the DVI. And it's just one of those situations where when your tech's pulling in a vehicle to do an oil change and an inspection, it's just a few less clicks of them having to go back and forth to start and stop jobs while they're in the middle of doing the DVI as well. So I do think that's going to be a big time saver for the technicians who are using work order. That was one of the big pieces I liked.
Absolutely. Thanks, Michael. So I have added images where I need to add images, and I've added a cracked lens. I was going to get a good picture up here. I didn't upload it to my computer. I hit a deer with my actual Odyssey that I use in these demos, man. And it would have been a great image for this, but yeah.
Did it still have the deer hair sticking out of it? That would have.
It does not. I cleaned that part off. So no deer hair. Thank you though. But yeah, that's the, that there was hair. I think that deer is fine though. It ran off in the woods, and the motorcycle that was on my trailer also fine. No problems.
So the important things.
Yeah. Oh, I was actually really proud of my stopping abilities here. And see, I do too many requirements on a page here, and this can wreck my demos. I don't like requirements too heavily in a sheet for similar reasons. We'll mark complete. And I acknowledge my reason. I've got them all. We've shown you all the safeguards now in this sheet, completed inspection. And this is the main feature I want to show you. This is where we have that click here to preview customer DVI. So your technician has submitted your DVI. Service advisors, typically you hadn't ever had a way to look at that DVI yourself unless you either sent it to yourself or you used a different link and opened it up. And that would have triggered a view, and that would bork the reporting. So now what we are going to allow is for you to click that customer DVI. It opens up this modal, and you can browse this exactly as your client will see it. And this will be demonstrating in a mobile view by default. So this does scale to whatever screen. And if you do want to look at it in desktop mode, just copy that link right in here, and that'll allow you to do so as well. And that, again, will not trip the view of that DVI. Now, here's where the theory of the redesign really starts to make sense, especially if you've done what I've done here. And I'm going to show you real quick again. I tagged this DVI item for a cracked headlight lens. It's an old picture. I can't show you my real cool crack right now, but you hit the edit button, you tag any item related to this concern, and that is going to be tagged inside of that DVI. You'll see in the preview mode, there's this little notification bell, and you notice how it just sort of pulled it down into this zone. It wants you to see this. And what we had before was a lot of vehicle data. People had to scroll past a lot of information to get to an area that maybe you want them to get to, maybe it wasn't your chief priority. That's why this side menu is tucked away. And if you are using a rainy send, you'll see the schedule appointment right here. I'll definitely advocate for getting that appointment piece back into the here, we'll go back here into the main front and center. I think that schedule appointment piece should make it into prominence back on that front page. But you do see this notification badge. This is just conditioned behavior. It doesn't matter what app you have on your phone, you probably have a bunch of those little red notifications, and you intuitively know exactly what that means. Well, that's why we wanted to put that as a design characteristic inside of the RVH area specifically. We want people to click on this and see what their items are that are related to their main concern. So a silly example on my screen right here, but you can imagine if you have a more diagnostic sensitive item with multiple items tagged to it, you have to remember that if you're tagging items, you can prioritize. I'll just pretend these items are related to this. You can change the way that these are prioritized here, and that order layout, headlights, front brakes, filter, is exactly what you're going to see here in that preview if this is popped open. And so when you're giving your presentation, the idea behind this is that you can have this open while you're even going through your sales call. You can talk your customer through these points more eloquently, and you know that the way you're explaining it is what they're going to see. So that is a key piece of advice and a technique I want to see people leverage. And if you need people to remember what green, yellow, and red is, I know you guys get this question a lot. That is why this guide floats around right there. And you'll recall that we had that little note about that ability to edit these things. Another great question, where are you clicking for the edit RVH? It might be hard to see on the screen that I'm on here. It's sometimes different monitors don't see this gray, but there's a pencil icon right here, Mario, and that is what you click on. So I'd like to see in the future too, since some people are not aware of this tagging ability. And Michael, you probably run into this occasionally too.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's underutilized unless you've been trained on it already. So, and that might be our fault for not making it as prominent as it is. But this tagging is gold, and you can even filter this out if you wanted to focus on red items versus green items versus anything at all that's marked, or the whole entire sheet. Like even if somebody didn't click on these items, you can go ahead and add the sway bar to this list, and that's now tagged to here. And that's not a bad way to flag something for your technician to, hey, like, look at this related to that main concern, even before your technician gets into this DVI. And does it still auto scroll to the top when the item is picked for the list of DVI items on edit RVH? Let me see. Does it scroll to the top when the item is picked for the list of DVI items? I might need some clarity on the question. Which screen scrolling? I think if you're referring to our RVH section here, let's go back in there. The items that you picked on your DVI naturally flow to the top of this all list. And that I think is what you're referring to. But for the client view, the order that you laid it out in is not automatically going to open for them. But that's why that notification bell is there. And that's one of those pieces of feedback that I'd be curious on too. If you start realizing that, hey, people start clicking that, or I have to teach them to click that, that's exactly what we want to hear.
Yeah.
But those items that we picked are still in these other sections, just in case that wasn't asked and is on somebody's mind. So I have cracked lens still here, but it's also still going to be in the red items.
It really comes in handy, especially if you've got multiple RVHs, being able to disseminate this
Correct.
fixes this problem, this fixes that problem.
And we're doing a lot of heavy tweaks right now on a DVI before we've even sent it. And this is kind of fun now with that preview. Since you know what it looks like, you're going to probably start editing these things a little better. But I'll just say, hey, ATF question mark is a concern here too. We'll add this as a RVH. And so I want to tag my transmission fluid on this. Now, these are not able, in my understanding, yet to just be rearranged the order of the RVHs, but you can definitely see that the order could matter for your ticket as you're putting things together. Put your top priority RVHs. I love how I'm starting to use this acronym more. It was a foreign acronym to me when I started with Autoflow 6 years ago. RVH, that's what we need, more acronyms. But you see how there's multiple concerns for the visit here. And obviously, good service advisor are going to spell out those details in a lot better phrases. But you see those notifications count the items that are tagged. I will add one other note here too, that if you're adding notes to these things, no serious damage, right? All superficial, hood and headlight, right? When you have a note in there, you see a clipboard icon on top of that. It's trying to pull you in with some of these details. Will tagged items sync into TechMetric? The tagged items don't sync into TechMetric, but every item syncs into TechMetric. And there is a core behavior that you'll want to remember if you're a TechMetric user and you're injecting our reports. This is semi-related to the topics we want to discuss today. So I'll just show you one screen, and this is key for TechMetric users. On the inspection tab inside of TechMetric, you see how there's your main concerns on the top. I added a concern called adding concern now, but I have 3 items in this DVI. What you want to do after you inject your results into TechMetric, click the pencil, hit save, and those items are right there and carry over straight to the estimate screen. Then I can just simply copy to estimate. All my red and yellow items will be right here on my estimate for me to add a canned job. Literally one of the fastest ways you're ever going to estimate things in that shop management system. These results also go into Protractor, Omnique, and Tire Shop in various ways. So our integrations that have DVI injection, great way to estimate. Now, I think that helps you understand a little bit behind this, but notice again, this stuff is all tucked away. Customer info, we don't have to scroll past this anymore. It's neatly out of the way since nobody wants to look at that. We've found that out. And communication preferences is key. So practice this with yourself. This does work even in the modal. You plug in your phone. Actually, I think I did use my real number there. Oh, it's going to send me a pin, right? I'm not going to look for that pin unless it's going to come real fast. But I'm using the same program I use my texting with for the webinar. So I'm not going to go grab that, but it would allow me to select the different communication preferences I have as a customer. I hope people will find it better here. That's been there before, but it was tucked away a little bit.
Yeah.
I will have to clarify that, Dave, on Omnique for injection. Good question. I want to say that Omnique it goes in, Michael, but you've trained more Omnique shops than me recently.
I have.
I could be off.
Yep. And I do believe the DVI does interject back in.
I want to say it does, but we'll have to follow up back on that. Related to the DVI, folks, there is another piece that was released earlier this year that I want to make you very aware of. And this has to do with technicians who perform 2 or more inspections on a single visit. And we call these global DVI items. And this is sort of a halfway global. There's a lot of stuff I want to do, and Gerald and I have talked a lot on this too, but this is a key feature for our current architecture of usage. And this is just simply saying that, hey, this is if I've got a group, I want to call it transmission fluid. I can do another one here too. I'll just say, hey, 4-corner walk around. And I want to say these items are sometimes named differently across different sheets, but I can tie every single instance of those, and it shows you which line item it is, what category it's in, and what inspection sheet it was on. And I'm basically saying through this tagging method that I want the history from all those other sheets to be on any sheet that I'm looking on. That means if I did the 4-corner walk around on the basic fluid inspection, I'm still going to be able to see that history on my other main inspection sheets. And this is also really valuable so that if you are performing multiple inspections on a single visit, or maybe you're really good at taking a courtesy level inspection and upselling to a comprehensive inspection, when your tech goes and does the more detailed inspection, those items are already filled out for him if it's been properly tagged here. He's not going to have to repeat those entries into that DVI. Very effective way to make sure that you have less redundant behaviors across multiple sheets.
Yeah. Again, saving time for technicians.
Saving time for technicians. They really appreciate that, and so does your bottom line. Now, I will say, and we've done a webinar with Motive Visuals too, I'll say Autoflow has absolutely led the way in what an integration with Motive Visuals should look like. And if you are not a Motive Visuals client, please reach out to us. We can help you now get signed up for that. If you're a TechNet shop already, you should have that, but you should be tagging instructional, educational videos to your DVIs so that your service advisor does not need to. And it's just as simple as clicking the MV button. And if there's a video about brake fluid and why it's important that you want to be able to share with your customer, you simply just hit auto attach, and I'll just say, hey, brake fluid replacement, auto attach that. That means that if somebody marks the fluid yellow or red, the video will automatically attach itself to that sheet. And this is on my multi-point inspection. So if we go back into Joe Palooka ticket here, and I go back into the brake fluid, and I mark it red, the Motive Visuals video, it pre-attaches for me. This is such a great tool, folks. And honestly, I still learn things watching it on some of the categories I wasn't specialized in. And it just saves you a lot of words with the client. There's some great terminology that comes out of these. And if you're the kind of advisor who doesn't want to over-educate the customer, or maybe your administrator went overboard on attaching all sorts of videos to every line item, it's really easy to remove those. No problem. So I say it's easier to remove than attach, so go crazy on the pre-attached screen. A little bit simpler. So that's some of the DVI stuff. Michael, I'm not leaving off anything on the DVI side of things, am I?
got global. We did that.
I think
No,
we covered most
we
of those
covered
items. Yeah.
everything that we wanted to hit on there.
Yes. So any questions on DVI, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can ask still here today too, but I want to move on to one of the neater pieces of our review-based follow-up stuff. You'll notice in your admin menu, we have its own menu here for follow-up setup. What you may not be aware of is that we've added a spot here for Google reviews to get a place ID, and we programmatically placed it in for most of you. So really, I just want to direct your attention to the, I don't have it, the review report. Let's go to Chris's shop here. I've already vetted this out. We have a new report called Customer Reviews. So yes, this is Chris's live shop here. I didn't warn him that I'm putting this on here, but I didn't need to because in the last several days, he's had nothing but stellar reviews at Golden Rule Auto Care. We expect nothing less. But we now have an indicator showing whether that review has even been replied to or not. And you can see one right here. Looks like it might have been replied to by now, but this updates, I believe, nightly. So this is right there. Every time I go to Golden Rule, they are genuinely interested in me and getting my car fixed in the most economical way. Sweet review. And this does this for both Google and Yelp at this stage, right? And this is absolutely wonderful to see. I like just sitting on this all page, but you can still see, yes, he contributes to the Yelp mafia. But no, hey, Yelpers are there. I know we have strong opinions every time we mention Yelp in a.
And I know this dashboard was something that was highly requested, especially with us doing the follow-ups. And I think it's a great way to be able to keep track of all what's actually hitting once they hit the link. Are they're pushing the button? Are they actually leaving are we getting the reviews?
Yeah, absolutely.
This ties that all together for us.
Yeah. And Michael, you know, too, is like, because we see this a lot when we start training, especially our new clients, like they're paying through the nose on some other programs that are designed only to help generate reviews. And this is built into even the most base level of Autoflow. Literally our workflow communications package, you have the automated follow-ups that go out requesting those reviews. It's highly customizable. It's one of the best reminder pieces that you can get. And this report just shows you the value now.
Yeah, and it is part of our most basic core package. So everyone who is watching us today probably has this. If you need any help getting this activated, you don't need to contact sales, you need to contact training.
Correct. Well said. Yeah, this is right there. And it is pretty simple, folks. That follow-up setup page, what you want to make sure of is that you're not just on a basic thank you message. Toggle it over to the multi-linked review page, and then you see these options for which review sites you want to funnel things towards. You can even use a manual review site of your own if you have a separate review service that you want to funnel all your stuff to other than Google or Yelp, then that's fine. And then you can build out your client microsite here. Now, this microsite did not get the updated UI yet. That's a separate piece. We knew this question could come up, so I'm cutting it off right here. Probably in the works, but right now this page functions beautifully on its own. I do want to see this where the same branding consistency will come through.
And I have a feeling it'll be there.
Yep. So what you see is obviously phase one for that stuff. Same for this report here too, but I am so happy with the way these function.
Craig, there were a couple of questions that did actually pop up about the review piece. And one from Dave was is there an auto reply to reviews? And at this time, we do not have an auto reply to your Google review page. We just have the link where you can click on it, which will take you and you can then review. Write the review.
And I'm going to caution auto replies on that as a feature, just from a personal standpoint. Did you have more to say before I go into that, Michael?
Oh no, but I have a feeling you're going to say exactly what I feel about them myself. So go right ahead.
Yeah, for me, these are very important to trigger a human interaction. We mentioned AI before. Yeah, I'm glad you agree. Yeah, human interaction is key and authenticity behind it. So I don't want to get too heavy in automation. And we talk a lot about automation. And the theory here at Autoflow is always automate what makes sense and put the human in the driver's seat for where humans thrive the most. And that is in connecting and relating with our clients. And you see this sometimes that where people are copy and pasting the same reply to every review that comes in every single time. And it mix it up.
And it becomes that exactly what that is. It becomes, people know it's just an auto reply, and it's not like it used to be where, oh, I got a reply, it's fine. people understand that they can tell the difference between the auto-generated, a canned reply, and an actual reply from somebody at the shop. The other question,
Oh, customer score too. Yeah.
well, yeah, is
Go ahead,
there
Michael.
a reputation manager option?
Ah,
And
so
we're
very
starting.
good question.
Yes, and that one came from Gene Bradley. So you go ahead with the reputation manager.
Well, the reputation management, I would have to get some more details on what you're looking for specifically. There's a couple of pieces people are not aware of that we're doing for you to see how well your clients are responding, and that's in our engaged report. And that is a item called sentiment analysis. And in my demo site, not as much fun. Let's go to Chris's shop again. This is unvetted, so we're gonna be careful. But this is we'll try to make sure we don't have any information there that we don't need to. But yeah, see, right, inbound messages, 2 negatives, 26 neutrals, right? So what does a negative message look like? Cancel appointment, stop. If there's opt-outs, those are considered negatives. So that's fine. But positives usually look like when people say, hey, thanks for the update. Thanks. Oh, good. And hey, that's nice stuff. But we have same thing. There's a bit of machine learning element on this sentiment stuff. This is not like a chatbot AI thing that's trying to do complex stuff or write code. This is just a programmatic response that's trained to look for what negative words are and positive words. That's really great. The other side of things that would be related to the sort of reputation management is you do have a customer score option that would do a tree-like response that allows clients to rate the quality of your service. It's NPS scoring, the net promoter score. 0 through 6 are your detractors, 7 to 8 your passives, 9 through 10 your promoters. And you can withhold that review link if you want to, unless they give you a high review. Now, we do warn you about gating reviews. Google frowns on that, and you don't want to lose those. People can leave your review anyways, but you can include that review link language up front. And a second time here, lots of flexibility on this. And that allows the clients to give their own score that you could potentially say, I'm going to turn this off on Chris's shop here. I'm not in my demo environment here. But I do want to go to our dashboard. You're going to see another feature. And this something does not require customer feedback. In our company setup page, if you scroll down to dashboard preferences, you can now is it dashboard preferences? Enable customer score tracking. It is in this section. Option number 9, it's a preference. Enable customer score tracking. You don't need to use the customer score to have them score you. You can now have your service advisors score your customers themselves. And that's why you see these happy or neutral faces on my board. Because if I had a bad visit from Joe Palooka and he just wrote us off and told us that we're too expensive and we need to move him down to the detractor level, we can do so and make a private note about this client right here. But if you are using the customer replies, we track those as well. And frankly, I find it really, it's up to you on how you want to use this. I like the fact that we've opened this up to allow shops to have a way of taking notes about the customers so that they do reappear on the board. We'll have that history of how things went and maybe where we need to be a little bit more deliberate in our communication with them. We'll keep Joe happy. He's on my board a lot.
Needs to have a happy face.
I saw another question in there too, Michael. Actually, it's a novel from Gerald, but
I would say
well, love you, buddy. So I'm going to, if you can take that, I'm going to move on to the next phase. Can you summarize it?
Oh, there are no other questions right now.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to go into the marketing module, and this is a separate piece, folks. So this would be something of a pitch if you aren't already using it, but I want you to be aware that this is something you probably are doing and might be something you want to consolidate inside of Autoflow. What we have added is a system that gives us the ability to do drip campaigns, text blast, email blasts, and it's pretty robust. We've gone through multiple iterations of this recently. And while still in the early phases, as we're working on a brand new dashboard right now that I'm very excited about, this is ready for you to use. And I like that mine shows very low limits because I'm in demo mode, but it's 4,000 messages a month is the limit, and 1,000 per campaign. Texts and emails contribute to that. But you have these options now to use deferred work drips So items from some of your shop management systems, again, level 5 only. So TechMetric, Omnique, Tire Shop, I think Repair Writer 5, maybe. I can't remember on that one. No, but definitely Tire Shop, Omnique, TechMetric, Protractor.
Protractor.
Yep, very, very good integrations on that. Deferred drips, right? If you want to do something here, these you have campaign edits, you can choose specific audiences, you can build out very hyper specific audience for different years, makes, models, all sorts of things, even spending amount if you have a level 5 integration. And one of my favorite things recently added to this is, interestingly, I'm glad we're not called auto text me anymore. You might have seen that email or this new feature. I want to call it auto email me. We're good at naming things here. But this is a great new tool that, and we're using some integrated AI in this to help you build things a little better. There's some fun things to do in this. So if you're the type of shop that wants to be able to do a consistent newsletter, you'd be able to build out lots of different templates, build your own, or even go borrow one from, excuse me, a vast library of potential. I'm sure we'll just, we'll use this one. It's a 4th of July template. And yes, it can have a flying eagle and everything cool on here too, but I want to add things to it. You can do this. You can go and hey, let's add an image. And I want to drag this image right here. And you can actually let AI create this image too. If any of you haven't played with DALL-E or some of those cool AI features, you can ask some funny stuff and type out what you want it to create. It'll create an image, right? Like make a picture of a digital vehicle inspection on a tablet. And we'll see if it does anything for us on that. AI, folks, I'm not convinced it's, I think the keyword is artificial. So yeah, all right.
Hey, wait a second. That one looks pretty good. Evaluation. Let's see what that does.
AI for images. You have to know what you're asking. I love this though, because it's fun. Oh wait, it's just asking for style. So hang on. All right. So we're going for realism. Yeah, this is wild. I like it better for text generation. Hey, that's not bad. There's some good ones here.
I've seen worse.
I mean, technicians write less legibly than that sometimes, so that's cool. But yeah, you can add those if you want to use the image. It's your image. You go ahead and pop that thing in, and you're all set, ready to go. Pretty fun to play with.
There is also a stock photo library in here that is pretty robust as well too.
If you just want to look at stock photos, there's
if you want to, and you can search the images for specific things. So if you don't want to generate an AI image, you can go through. We've got plenty of stock images that can be used.
Stock images. Stock images are fun. But yeah, the more fun items for me are usually going to be related to when I'm adding things and I want to just like add add some text to my item here. You can use smart text. So if you want to say news about why car repair is important, I don't know, something, I'm at a loss here. But if I wanted to make smart text with this sort of stuff and I just want to say, hey, expand some of what I'm saying here, you're going to want to be smarter with your prompts than me on the spot here. But yeah, this is going to help you potentially get something down that you could work from. Don't ever, please ever, never, ever let AI build your entire type of stuff for you. And just, I have a long-standing theory that if you don't want to write it, no one wants to read it.
Yeah. It's AI is a great tool to get you started, to kind of clean up. But you can't just generate and go from there.
Yeah. New tool, very fun, but that's the email builder. I think it's a fun place to go. It's a very robust builder. The audience piece, I think, is more important for you to be aware of, though, as that is what's going to be able to help you target specific groups of people. You want to make sure you're following up with the people who want to buy from you. And this is where I see a lot of mistakes happen with shops working with CRM. Aside from the way people refer to CRM as client retention marketing, it is not. That is the wrong use, and this industry uses it all the time as client retention marketing. I believe it is client relations management. That is what a CRM is. And so really what you want to do is just keep in touch with people and simple ways that can turn that into a conversation that generates further appointments. You know, the times I see this fail for people is if they think they're going to come in here, make the perfect audience, do a single text blast, and jam up their schedule with lots of whatever you were promoting. It's not necessarily relevant to people, and that's what generates a lot of opt-outs. The drips most recent after a visit up to a week are the ones that get the best responses and just keeps a little bit of dialogue going. The cool thing about this is when we give you a marketing number, which is a separate number for your shop, we keep it separate from your transactional visit and core part of Autoflow. When people reply to your marketing number, it goes straight to your core system in Autoflow and is all manageable from one spot in your text manager. So to tie anything cool in there together with what I find most practical is that you're here, you're having conversations with people. We want to be able to use this new marketing filter. I don't reply to myself, of course, in my demo environment, but that marketing filter is there.
One thing I want to bring up, since you popped the text manager open here, is the fact that the text manager can actually now be broken out into its own tab and page. You can shrink it down. So you do not have, you can have this open separately now from Autoflow. So you can jump in here and have your text screen open and still have your Autoflow screen open, be looking at DVIs, changing statuses, doing what you're doing in there, but still have this window open with your text screen and be tracking messages and replying to customers. That was something a lot of our clients are not aware that we are capable of doing, and that this text manager, it really makes things easy.
I'm glad you mentioned that. That is only a couple of releases ago that was added.
Yeah,
maybe folks, when you click the names of people in here, this is key. We have lots of stuff that you can do for controlling how this person receives messages. And this is where their vehicles are. You can see if there are any scheduled messages for this particular individual right here. And you can even navigate straight to our reminders page. Shoot, if you had to go make a custom reminder for a specific individual, you can be making your own custom reminder. Hey, call us about those tires. And we can schedule that to be whenever we need it to be. Yeah, let's not do it around Thanksgiving. Add to queue, boom. We've set up a reminder, click, 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 boom. And it's just even better than exit scheduling. In some cases, you know how people are. They don't know when they actually want to schedule their car to come back in, but they're probably okay with, hey, how about I just send you a little text reminder? And then we get in touch a little bit after the holiday. How's that sound? Great. They're always going to be open to something like that. And that's going to come, if you're using Core Autoflow, from your main transactional number. It's just a simple visit related custom reminder.
And having that tied in with the text manager spot with the customer's name, it really brings everything full circle to really simply be able to maintain that communication with them.
That's great. And I love seeing that, Mario. That's good. That custom reminder piece, by the way, guys, core piece in Autoflow. Everybody has it. You don't have to hit sales on this either. That's there for you at every tier package. Very effective piece. Very effective piece. We've made some tweaks to the reminder report as well. You'll notice that there is a report in here for reminders, I believe.
Second from the bottom, Craig.
Second from the bottom. Thank you. It's always harder when you're the one running the screen to see.
It is, right? Just like typing.
Lots of things that you can do in here to see how many are sent, what types were sent, how many rainy folder sends you're doing, how many appointments you're generating potentially from those reminders. The oil change type reminders, of service reminders, all that sort of stuff is in here, and it's customizable too. So you can definitely track a variety of different things inside of here, especially if you turn on the automation for the service reminders. Having this report at your fingertips to see how many are actually going out and then correlating that to your appointments, key piece. Definitely look for that. And folks, I'm going to point out one other area inside of your company setup page. If you're doing reminders, you want to make sure that there's a appointment link that's set up to funnel things into the shop, as well as maybe you're just making a call to action for them to call you to manually input this. But folks, we do have a robust scheduler, and we made the mistake of calling it kiosk, so people get confused with this, but our scheduler is great. If you are using a different scheduler, all you need to do is put the URL right here. If you're using ours, all you need to do is click that button and it fills it in for you. But that scheduler is about to get the next UI improvement. And I do believe I'm safe to say that will be in the next November release. So our scheduler will have a new user interface, slightly different, plays on a lot of the same characteristics, but the key thing I can tip off for you is that we are moving the phone number and name collection to after the job selection and the time they want to make the appointments. We're going to actually capture the appointment details that they want to give us first, then ask who they are and the year, make, model types of items. It's going to be a lot more intuitive, a little prettier, and I think it'll be really, really, really great. But we can track stuff from our scheduler a lot more effectively. And I say we go pop over to Golden Rule one more time because I want to point this out. Online schedulers are key, but they are only half of the appointments on the average shop. So if I actually go to last month in Chris's shop and look at this engaged report, it's kind of an interesting number that you'll see. The kiosk schedule 85, scheduled appointments 130. And what it's not clear here is that scheduled appointments mean manually scheduled or in the shop management system. And kiosk is the online appointments that are generated. Healthy ratio by all standards, but online scheduled appointments usually are half of what you're going to see. We had a question, Michael.
Yeah, Gerald actually popped one for, could you use unique links so it auto detects the customer ID?
Feature requests galore on this. So actually, one step ahead of you, Gerald. Not a Freudian slip. Gerald and I all have great conversations. You know, Jeremy Glasgow, our VP of marketing. I have a very specific request that Jeremy articulated extremely well for our dev team on exactly what we do want to see for that. So that is on the board. I have no guarantee on when something like that is, but there is additional tracking that we want to do. And guys, there's a good reason that question is asked. If I go into my marketing page, probably not a great example on here. Let me go in anyways. One of the things that we're not going to do is try and report to you on revenue that our marketing isn't directly responsible for. And this is a problem that I do run into a lot. And people stop trusting revenue reports from CRM systems. And what Autoflow is going to allow you to do is very unique. If you want to see the effects of campaigns, we allow you to set a date threshold. And this is really as simple as choosing how long after that appointment or after that campaign ran, do we want to count something as being directly related to this? But Gerald's question goes even deeper. Mm-hmm. We won't even have to ask that question. If we can prove that an appointment actually came from a specific campaign or an active appointment link, even better. There are ways to do that. So we'll look into some things there. I think unique links is not the way because that's actually very expensive. If we make a unique link every time for a different person and there's 1,000 people in a campaign that you send out, our URL shortener bill is going to be substantial. You had something to say, Michael?
I was going to say the other question that came in was Mario asking for training. So,
Michael,
as always, training is always available. And that is one thing I want to make sure we bring up. If you ever do need training, Craig, actually, while we're here, on our website.
Yes. So there is a training page on our website. If you go to autoflow.com, this has been recently updated and we're constantly evolving the pages, folks. But that green button right at the top is going to pull you into one of our learning centers here. And you just simply type in what type of item you're looking for. We had a question earlier on TechMetric DVI, right? So if you want to see TechMetric integrated DVI features, you'd be able to go right in there, read more, and you're going to be at our page where we explain how that push function works and everything else. So the other item on this as well, and there's usually videos on a lot of these topics, pretty good stuff. The other page that I want to direct to, and I never remember how to find it, but
training. Talking about our page?
Yeah, where's our main connect with a trainer page? I want to say
we thought we made it too hard to find.
Yeah, for me that is because I have a hard link to it and I never have to come here. So I just don't remember where it is. But I want to show you what we're doing different with release notes. and this is for me an important change. I'm not writing the big long emails full of puns anymore. I know. I was disappointed to do that too, but I'm looking at open rates and click-through rates on emails, and I know that the wall messages is a substantially more effective way to alert people to changes in the tool. And that's why we've been linking our release notes better in the wall message. And instead of the puns going into an email, I'll start building them into the release notes for you. Or the video that I start to do for each of these. So that's why we had a video walkthrough video for our new one. We had a new training page ready to go for that microsite. These are going to start to become embedded more inside of our release notes every time we release something. And I think that's going to be a lot more reliable for you guys to get the data you need related to releases, at least. And that's organized by generally the months that we release in. Typically, we're at a 1 release per month pace right now because the releases have gotten bigger. A lot of cool enhancements. Bug fixes, of course, are a part of many of these as well. But there's a lot of testing that we do, and it's become very thorough in a lot of ways. We can't catch everything. I know some of you have caught a few minor things with even the microsite, but that process is rather robust. So we've been taking our due diligence with that. 2 releases a month, probably a pace we're not going to get back to unless we start doing smaller releases as well. Now, lastly, there are a couple partner evolutions that we did want to highlight. One of them is First Mile. First Mile integration is our new text to pay partner. So if you have been using any other texting or text pay, or you're new to text pay, or maybe you're already a tire shops, especially are using First Mile, you'll be able to start integrating that now for our text to pay piece. If you want to integrate First Mile, you will definitely need to contact sales, although it is a free integration for us. You will still need to set that up in collaboration with our sales team who works directly with First Mile. But that allows you to request payments, capture signatures, and of course, make money with the convenience of text to pay. Very effective. We already talked about Moto Visuals, but we also do have recent improvements for TechMetric, Protractor, and Tire Shop on the horizon as well. Most notably on this recent release, there is a note on this for TechMetric. I believe it's down in here somewhere. If I remember correctly, yes, we allowed for multiple cars on the TechMetric dashboard. This has been possible in some other platforms as well, new to TechMetric. I think Protractor users, you're already safe on this. Scenario I always hear is aftermarket warranty companies, right, Michael? People have that.
You have to be, and you have to create that separate ticket just to get paid by the warranty company versus the customer pay. And you got to split out the customer pay and the warranty pay. And that's where that feature really comes into play, is now you'll be able to make that separate ticket so that you can have the one ticket for customer pay and the one ticket for the warranty company. Another thing with the TechMetric while we're on them, the appointment appointments being pushed back into TechMetric.
That's correct. That's
another big
from our scheduler.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you make an appointment here inside of the scheduler, this has been a feature for Protractor users for 2 or 3 years now, but it is now available for TechMetric users as well. When you're making that appointment for the vehicle, you have the questionnaire, you have your service list, you pick the time that it's going to go in, sign off on a disclaimer. It's all really pretty intuitive. This is going to look cooler here soon, but that'll push that appointment directly into TechMetric. It's a key advantage on this. And of course, tied with our confirmations, tied with our DVI. If you had outstanding DVI items on something, it would actually have been in that job list. Pictures and everything would have shown up here for me to click on the stuff that was still outstanding from that visit. Good stuff. Makes our scheduler very valuable. And folks, related to this too, the last thing I'll show here in the final minutes, that setup page that we have for administrators on kiosk setup, it's what we call it is kiosk setup, but this does involve our scheduler. We allow you to set a lot of protections so that you don't get self-scheduled appointments at disadvantageous times. That includes all the variables that you can imagine, and some of them that we didn't imagine that you did. So there are plenty of safeguards in this to make it a safe feature for you to host on your own websites, and it looks real good.
And again, the restrictions put on the online scheduler are not restrictions put on your service advisors.
Correct. Good.
Service advisors, if we put a cap on the number of appointments per day because we don't want to get overloaded with appointments coming in from the online site, the service advisors at their discretion can still add appointments once you hit that cap you put on the online scheduling. So it's not going to restrict what your advisors can do with the schedule. It's only what's available to the online user.
Very good. And Jessica, that was a great question regarding first mile. I think that'll be something we'll want to explore with you in a further conversation for that particular scenario. Great. If there's any questions outside of this webinar, of course, please feel free to reach out to us. If you need immediate help, hit support@autoflow.com. If it's specific to training and it's non-urgent, reach out to me and Michael. We have additional trainers. Brandon Krusha is on our team now as well, and Josh Cloutier, Chris's nephew. So if you need help from a Cloutier, he's here to help as well, and he's been outstanding. So he's been our right hand here, hasn't he, Michael?
Yeah, very much so.
Don't be surprised if you see any messages from our young Cloutier as well. He's helping us make sure we reach out with some quarterly reports and various things to help keep the reporting going. But we definitely appreciate all the help that we get, and we appreciate it when you reach out to us too. So don't wait for us. We're here for you when you need us. Michael, any closing remarks?
Yeah, anyone is going to be at SEMA Apex, don't forget to stop by and see us at Joe's Garage. We are going to have some really cool stuff going on at our booth this year. So make sure you stop and see us at Joe's Garage.
Here's the sneak peek in 1 minute over, but the Bay Flow camera system is now ready for installs. Super exciting, and it is live and functional. So we are looking for what the next installs where they'll be. We are excited about this product. I think it's going to be, and it already has told us a lot of things that we never even expected it would solve. It's solving, but please stay tuned on this. We will have a lot more to say on this, especially after Apex.
Yeah. So if you're going to be in Vegas, stop by the booth.
We'll be in Joe's Garage. So it's a real nice booth. Thank you so much, everyone. We look forward to hearing any questions and feedback as you get more from your clients on the new changes. Thanks so much for listening to us here today. We'll see you in the next one.
Have a good one, everyone.